All right, thank you. It's good to be here at the Edinburgh Festival, and it is particularly good to be here with a new show that asks all about the big questions. The show is called Your Life is a Flicker in Cosmic Silence. All the answers you'll ever need. One of them is no. And it's an hour of kind of science, philosophy, stand-up comedy, life advice. And I do have the answers to some of the big questions, like what are we? Why are we here? What should we do? But not all of them. Not all of them. Because sometimes the answer really is no. Like when my agent asks me if I want to go on a reality TV show, the answer is no. When people say, "Do you want fries with that?" the answer is no. When someone tells you there's a short cut to the philosophical answers, the answer is almost always no. So this show is an exploration of the biggest question of all, which is why are we here, but also small ones like why does time exist? Why do we get ill? Why do we die? What happens after we die? Do we have free will? What's the point of any of it? And the reason I think those questions are important is because they read the questions that most of us are asking ourselves every single day, even if we don't realize we're doing it. Every time we make a decision, we're asking ourselves, should I do this or should I do that? Do I want this or do I want that? Am I doing the right thing? So these questions underpin our entire experience of being alive, and I think it's worth trying to answer them. The show started off as a book, which was published last year, and the book was inspired by an app called Brilliant, and Brilliant is all about interactive science and maths courses. They send you stuff like this, which is a little bit too complicated for the show today. But Brilliant has thousands of lessons from foundational and advanced maths through to data science, physics, computer science, chemistry. And the way it works is that they teach you everything from the basics upwards. So you don't need to know anything before starting. And then you learn by doing. So you're not just listening to someone talk, you're actually doing the thing. You're solving problems. You're seeing results immediately. And it's all designed by some of the best teachers and professors from all around the world. I think learning stuff should be fun and interesting. And if it's not, then it's not really learning, is it? It's just memorizing. And Brilliant is all about making sure that you understand what you're doing. If you've ever sat in a classroom and thought, why am I learning this? How am I ever going to use this? Then Brilliant is definitely for you, because they focus on the practical applications of all of the science and maths. So you'll be able to see exactly why the things you're learning matter. There's a course called Everyday Math, which is basically about teaching you the mental math skills that you probably forgot that you had. If you feel like you're getting by without doing any math at all, then this is the course for you. And I think there is a lot of people who think they don't like math or aren't good at math. But the problem is usually that they haven't learned it in a way that makes sense to them. And so I think you gonna find that if you start doing some of these brilliant courses, you're actually gonna enjoy it. I think there are two main reasons why I wanted to work with Brilliant on this show. The first one is because I think it's so important to get people excited about science. Science is all around us. It underpins everything that we do. But unfortunately, a lot of schools just teach it as boring facts and figures, and that doesn't inspire anyone. And the second reason is because I'm lazy. I love learning stuff. I really do. But actually sitting down with a textbook and going through it chapter by chapter. That's not my idea of fun. I prefer to learn by doing. And so the fact that Brilliant is all about interactive courses that are fun and engaging means that I can procrastinate less and actually learn more. When I was researching this show, I ended up looking at quantum mechanics, astrophysics, philosophy, neuroscience, cosmology, psychology. And what I realized is that most of these disciplines kind of stop dead when they get to the question, why is there something rather than nothing? And the answer is, well, we don't know. But I don't think we have to accept that we don't know. I think that's just because we haven't figured it out yet. So this show is a bit of a work in progress. It's my attempt to try and figure out the answers to some of these big questions. And obviously, I'm not going to be able to give you all the answers in an hour. But hopefully I can give you something to think about. Hopefully I can give you something that will change the way you think about things. Let's take one of those big questions, for example. The one that really got me thinking was, is there a point to it all? To which I think the answer is yes. Everything we do, every single thing we do, is done for a reason. We plant a seed, and then we water it, and then we harvest it. We write a book, and then we publish it, and then we get paid for it. We build a rocket, and then we put it into space, and then it explodes. Okay, maybe that last one wasn't the best example. But the universe is always moving towards something. Nothing happens without a cause. The Buddha said nothing happens in this world by chance. Everything has a cause. Everything has a reason for happening. Okay, let's take something that happened to me recently. I pulled something in my back. Now, in any other circumstance, I would have been absolutely screwed because I couldn't move. But because I was in L.A., I was able to go to the emergency room, and they gave me an injection in my back, and now I can move again. So I think that everything happens for a reason. But the reason isn't necessarily a good one. I mean, let's think about all the times in your life where something bad happened, and you thought, why did this have to happen to me? And then you look back on it now and you think, that was actually a really good thing that happened to me. That taught me this, or led to that, or made me meet that person. So the reason isn't necessarily a good one, but everything happens for a reason. And the same goes for the universe. I think the reason that we're here, the reason that you're sitting in this seat right now watching me perform, the reason you were born is because everything has a cause and everything has a reason. And I think that reason is ultimately love. There's another question that comes up a lot, which is, if you could know the outcome of every decision you ever make, would you? My therapist says I shouldn't make any decisions based on future predictions. The problem with that is that sometimes in the future, I'm going to win the lottery. So yeah, I think knowing the outcome of every decision is a pretty good idea. But then you'd never get out of bed, would you? If you knew that at some point you were going to get ill or you were going to die, then you wouldn't leave the house. But the truth is, we don't know the outcomes of the decisions we're making. We can't predict the future. And so what we do is we try and make the best decisions we can with the information that we have at the time. We also ask ourselves a lot of why questions. Why is this happening? Why do I feel like this? Why do people do the things they do? And the truth is, most of those questions, the answer is just because. People just do things because. Sometimes people behave badly because they're scared or insecure. Sometimes people behave well because they're kind and generous. Sometimes we do things because we want to help. Sometimes we want to hinder. Sometimes we do things because we're selfish. We do things because we're kind. Sometimes we hurt people because we love them. We laugh because we're happy. We cry because we're sad. We eat because we're hungry. We sleep because we're tired. People say, "Why do you do that?" And the answer is just because we do. We do things because we can, because we choose to, because it feels right or wrong, because it's the thing we have to do next, because it's the only option we've got, because it's the thing that makes sense, because we're bored, because we want to please, because we want to be pleased, because we're scared, because we don't care, because we do care. People do things because, and I think that's where the joy is. I think the joy is in the doing. I think the joy is in the caring. I think the joy is in the experiencing. I think the joy is in the love. Your life is a flicker in cosmic silence, is a work in progress. So if you want to know what I think the answers to some of these big questions are, then come and see the show. And thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching.